Too long, those who've registered. So why don't we go ahead and get started?
We're good to go, Commissioner.
All right. Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Phil Andrews. I am the chair of the Baltimore County Commission on Procurement, Purchasing, and Contracting. Appearing with me are my fellow commissioners. There are 10 of us in all. We're delighted to hold this public input meeting today. A brief bit of background, if I may. The commission was established by executive order of County Executive Olszewski in November of 2020. And our charge for the year's worth of existence that we have is to undertake a comprehensive review and evaluation of Baltimore County's procurement processes, its policies and practices, and the outcomes that come as a result of those policies, practices, and processes. And we're also examining trends in procurement, particularly as to how they affect minority-owned, women-owned, and small businesses. Over the course of the last 10 months, we have had many meetings, all public, all virtual. And during those meetings, we have gathered a great deal of information from people inside Baltimore County, from outside Baltimore County, procurement experts from around the country. We've conducted surveys inside county government, surveys outside county government of stakeholders who have participated in Baltimore County procurement or who are interested in participating in Baltimore County procurement. And we've gathered all that information and we've had two purposes in that. One is we have already submitted an interim report to the county executive and to the head of the county council. That was at the end of May, and our final report is due at the end of November of this year. And that is what we are working towards at this particular moment. But we had decided as a commission early on that in our information gathering process, we would have a public input meeting where anyone who would like to address the full commission directly would be able to do so. And so that is the purpose of this public input meeting. So again, welcome to everyone, and we very much appreciate your interest and participation. A couple of rules, if I may, before we get started here. We have a number of people who have pre-registered to speak, and we will have them called up in alphabetical order. Jasmine Clemens will let them know when they are unmuted and in a position to address the commission. I would ask you, before you begin your remarks, to please identify yourself. And if you are here on behalf of or a member of an organization, a group, an industry, a business, and would like to share that information with us, we'd be happy to have it. We have set a time limit of 3 minutes per speaker, and I'll be the official timekeeper on that. And I would also say that anybody who's watching the meeting, who's registered to watch the meeting, who might like to speak but hasn't signed up yet, they should message Jasmine Clemens directly, and she'll put them in the queue of speakers. So again, welcome, and I think that covers the introductory aspect of this. So Jasmine, if you could have our first speaker be ready to address the commission. Oh, one other thing I should say, because the purpose of this meeting is for the commission to gather information, we will not be answering questions, but I promise you we will take your comments and remarks, and they will certainly be given complete and full consideration as we prepare our final report. Okay, Jasmine, if you would take it from there.
Thank you. So the first two individuals, I do not see them in the attendee list. That'd be Robert Dashel and Wes Gookert, and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing your last name. If you are in as another person or under another name, or maybe you logged into, your administrative assistants, just message me and then I can unmute you. So we're gonna move to the third person, Jeffrey Hall. I'm about to unmute you now, sir, and you should be able to speak. Let me
All
know
right,
that
can
you're
you
logged
hear
in.
me?
Yes, sir.
All right. I'm not sure why my video's not working. I'm not real good at this either, but if somebody would tell me how to get my video up, I'd be more than glad to share that with you. But my name's Jeff Hall. I'm with New Enterprise Stone and Lime. We had done the contract for your ball field mix for the last 5 years. I just wanted to say when we got the contract, even the last contract, I don't remember the minority owned businesses in the last time that we did this 5 years ago. But the contract is very wordy. It seems to be more of a contract for construction rather than delivery of material. It's a lot of things in there that doesn't pertain to having a material and delivering it. It's just a lot of extra words in there. I don't know if that can be cut down to be more of a purchasing contract and weed out everything that really doesn't pertain to just purchasing a material and having it delivered. That was one thing that I took notice to. And the other thing, I guess the minority owned business came because there was some issues in the last 5 years or whatever of people that had minority owned businesses being left out of bids or not given bids. I can understand that a little bit if that was happening with any organization. But I guess when we do have minorities working for us, we're a huge company in Pennsylvania, and we do have minorities driving for us. From what I understand, we don't meet the 15% of minorities working for us. But it almost, and I'm going to say this and it may not be like, but it almost seems with this contract, it's like a reverse racism, that if you're not minority, you don't have a chance, or your chances are lower because you don't have the minorities working for you. So I don't really think that's quite fair. I think it should go in at face value on anybody that has a business or able to give material that you're looking for. And the other thing is, I guess, quality of material. I'm not sure how close that's looked at. Dymatex is a very good, well-respected material in the industry. It performs very, very well. So at saying that, you only get what you pay for as far as I'm concerned. So if you got something that's a lot cheaper, there's a reason why it's a lot cheaper. And other than that, I think that's about all I have to say. Is we do produce the material, and we do have our own trucking company that delivers the material. To go ahead and try to find somebody else to deliver it, that is a minority-owned business, to get us into that, it's only going to cost more money to do that. So that's all I really have to say, and I appreciate the time to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. We appreciate your comments. Jasmine, you want to call for the
Yes.
speaker, please?
Next up, we have Ms. Joanne Schneider. So I am going to unmute you now, and give me just a moment. Ms. Schneider, are you able to speak?
I am able to speak. Let me start the video, see if it'll work for us. Am I there? Okay, I don't see me, so I'm not sure what you see. First of all, I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak today. And my name is Joanne Schneider. I am principal of Chrysalis Collaborations, which is an MDOT certified Baltimore County-based company offering research, quality improvement, policy and program analysis and development and improvement, and registered in Maryland as a woman and person with disabilities owned WBDBE. and I'm also a vendor for Maryland Works Disability Works program. As a professional services company, Chrysalis focuses on workforce, business, and community/environmental development, health and human services, and programming for low-income, immigrant, people of color, people with disabilities, etc., people at the margins. I am also an ICC certified as an accessibility inspector plans examiner, which means I'm also familiar with architecture and engineering construction contracting in the county. I've been on several of those. I've worked on these topics for over 30 years, starting Chrysalis Collaborations in 2015. I'm usually a subcontractor working on projects for the state, several local counties, including Baltimore County and Baltimore City, and national entities. I am currently leading the program component of Montgomery College's ADA self-evaluation, and I'm a subcontractor on 3 separate disparity studies in the general area, including the Baltimore MSA and Washington, D.C. Metro. I've reviewed your interim report and disparity study. They're great. I fully support all but one of the recommendations. My testimony today is basically to add a few other nuanced suggestions and one that's not there.
Ms. Schneider, just interrupt you for a second. We are not able to see, we see the lower part of your face, but not.
Yeah, I can't see what you see. Is there some way to get me on here so I can see what you see?
We see more of you now than we did a second ago.
Okay, is that better?
That's much better. Great, thank you.
Sorry.
We mean to interrupt, but that's terrific. Thank you so much.
Is there any way to get my, so I can see my camera so that I can see what you're seeing? There I go. Okay, now I'm on.
There we go.
Okay, that's better. Okay, so 4 suggestions. First, provide enhanced tracking and enforcement capacity to Baltimore County's MBE-WEB program to ensure, and you've got this testimony, I just emailed it, by the way, ensure that the MBE-WBE firms are informed of opportunities, considered fairly in procurement decisions, and treated professionally by county staff and primes. I'm going to give you a few examples on each of these in a minute. Add disability-owned businesses back into the MBE category. It was there about 5 years ago, with appropriate set-asides, and participate in the Disability Works program as outlined in Maryland procurement statutes. I bet you didn't know, but for some kinds of contracts, you really are supposed to look to Maryland Works, see if there's a disabled-owned company that can do it before putting it out to bid. That's state statute for procurement. Use federal MDOT and Baltimore City certifications. Don't create your own program. That's the place where I disagree with your contractor for the disparity study. Please don't reinvent the wheel and make more paperwork for the rest of us, please. And finally, ensure that Baltimore County procurement and department staff are aware of comparable rates, project timelines, and processes in other Maryland counties and Baltimore City. So let me provide a few more details. Let me first start by describing my experience with Baltimore County's procurement, and I've been doing this since 2015, 2016, and MBE-WBE. Carla Tucker and her staff are terrific, absolutely terrific. She is very responsive and responsible. She does everything that she possibly can. Her programs and events are excellent. The problem is that all she can do is make suggestions, and she has no enforcement capability, and therefore nothing happens. So, you know, my only contracts right now with the county are with a prime that has been doing work for the county for 25 years. Okay, so I'm part of the in-network through them. Any attempts I've made on my own are going nowhere. Couple examples, and I've got more if you want them. It took attending 3 county MBE-WBE fairs to meet the staff person responsible for professional services contracts because I'm not sure if it was a he or she at that point, did not attend. When someone finally showed up, she gave me a cursory nod, went on to something else she was more interested in, and never returned my phone calls or emails. And I am a small company. Those under $25,000 contracts that are never put out for formal bid are my bread and butter. I have no access to those because this person won't work with me. Okay. After attending a bidders conference on Carla's recommendation, and this was construction planning, my company was included as a subcontractor on a large construction A&E planning project that made it to oral presentation. The day before our presentation, this was pre-COVID, so this was a little different, but not much. I was injured and I could not drive. Since I was responsible for part of the research design, accessibility inspection, and the local contact, I asked to be included by phone or teleconference, which shouldn't have been hard. Everybody else does it. But the procurement officer refused. After the oral interviews, I learned we had one member on our team who was on 2 bids, so he told us what happened. I learned that our team was grilled about the work I would be doing without me there to answer. Other bidders were not grilled, were not asked at all about that piece. We did not win this bid and have never received a formal response from the county about who got it, any information back. And by the way, I have put in probably at least 20 bids to the county. I have never, ever gotten any feedback on my bid. Nobody has said anything, and I've asked multiple times. So they're just not responsive. For several years, I provided Carla and Baltimore County Procurement with examples of notices from the county of new work with no information types of projects. You get something that says Baltimore County has let out some more bids. So you have to go to the website, find the thing, go through all of the list and see if there's anything remotely relevant, which it usually isn't even remotely relevant. It's buying something. So they refuse to send out something that says, you know, we have a bid on a project to do X, which is what Howard and Montgomery do. I've given them examples. Carlos passed them on. Nothing happens. Here's one final one. I attended a bidders conference with about 15 to 20 subs and one prime, which has had that contract in years past. My company teamed with that prime, put together a proposal, and then a couple days before the bid, I think it was the day before, the prime decided they weren't going to bid on it, which meant nobody bid on it. And I talked to the procurement officer, said, you know, please keep me informed. Never heard another thing. Turns out I learned later through the grapevine that that prime had gotten a sole source contract, not included us or the other WBEs, MBEs on this, and gone on and done the work. Nobody had told me anything. I would strongly encourage the county to both give the MBE WBE department enforcement authority to ensure that MBE WBE firms are included and treated fairly in the bidding process. I would also encourage tracking not only bids and timely payments, but contract details for subcontractors through a combination of active surveillance and technology to ensure subs are treated fairly. WSSC does a great job on this. I'd be glad to tell you more about that if you want more information. For example, and not just are you paid? Because, for example, I've been on contracts, some counties, some not, where I'm expected to do work well beyond my scope, many more hours, not paid for it. And I'm told, well, you have to do this because, you know, otherwise we're not going to work with you again. Okay, I want somebody to call me and quietly inquire because I'm not going to call and complain because that means I don't get a contract again. Can't do that. Okay, second, include disabled-owned businesses. People with disabilities have the worst employment and economic stats of any group, despite being competent and capable workers and business owners. The state and neighboring counties, Howard, Anne Arundel, I think Montgomery, identified disabled-owned businesses. I would encourage Baltimore County to do the same. Again, you had it on your form 5 years ago, and provide programming and goals for this group. By the way, disabled-owned businesses are included in the research for the ongoing disparity studies for Baltimore City and HABC. Third, and Maryland Works Disability Works program has existed for, again, a number of years. I'm not sure how many, but at least 15 or 20, I think. It's part of Maryland statute. And it's a way to give disabled-owned companies a foot in the door for contracting. And so if there's a company that is totally qualified, like anybody else, to do this work, they are vetted, they are a vendor for under this program. Counties, state, there's certain rules at certain kinds of projects. You're supposed to say, gee, do you have somebody who can do this first? Is this vendor capable of doing this work? And if they are, work out a contract with that vendor. Usually means you don't have to do the bidding process. It's a win-win. Maryland Works makes sure that the insurance and everything else is in place, pays attention to what's going on, so there's backup. It's a terrific program. I have been trying to get Baltimore County to pay attention to this and to participate, as they are required to do, for probably 3-4 years. So is Maryland Works. They don't respond. I would love to see them participate in this program. Using existing certifications rather than create a new certification process. I've basically said this. The MDOT vetting, the Baltimore City vetting is very, very thorough. There's no need to do your own, just do a reciprocal. It's less paperwork for everyone. For disabled-owned businesses that are not part of those systems, because they're frankly harder and discouraged in some ways, or they may be disabled and registered with MDOT, but only show up as whatever else. I only show up as a women-owned business, not women and disabled. Doors and Maryland Works has certification. The VA, of course, has certification for anyone who's a service-disabled veteran. There are ways to get this information without creating your own program, and I'd encourage you to do so.
Ms.
Finally,
Snyder,
Yeah.
Snyder, thank you. Could you, if you could wrap up here, we'd appreciate it.
I've got one more
Thank
short paragraph.
Great.
All right, ensure the Baltimore County staff are trained and know what it's like, particularly for for research projects, evaluation projects. I don't think either the procurement staff or a lot of the line staff in the county who are overseeing these projects have any idea how much it costs and how much time it takes to do this. And very often, the expectations are way off. My rates are very competitive, and to bid in the county, I bid 20% less than I normally would, because cost is the first priority. A lot of my really good primes won't bid in the county because of it. So I would encourage you to do that work suggested to find out about comparable, prices, processes, timelines, and make sure that everybody knows so that, the county is getting the best people bidding. And that's all I've got. Thank you so much. And if you have any questions, I'm glad to answer them.
Thank you, Ms. Schneider. We really appreciate your very comprehensive remarks, and we will certainly take them into consideration when we prepare the final report. Thank you.
Thank you.
If there are any other registrants who would like to speak, if you want to message Jasmine Clemens now, that would be great. And Jasmine, is anyone else in the queue at the moment?
No, and it does not look like our pre-registered, the other two have been able to join.
Okay. Well, let's give them another minute or so, and if not, or no one else wishes to speak, then we'll adjourn. All right. Well, I think at this point, I'm glad we heard from the speakers that we did. And of course, we've had lots of other input, both from our surveys and from other stakeholders who've shared information with us. So we have a lot to talk about, and today's comments certainly add to that. So at this point, yes, Commissioner Richards.
I'd also like to remind viewers that they can reach out to the commission by email. And the email address is on the commission's webpage on the Baltimore County site. Jasmine, you might know it off the top of your head.
Yes, the email address is BRPC, the first letters in blue ribbon Procurement Commission at baltimorecounty.md.gov. You can email anything there, any comments, suggestions, or thoughts, and I will disseminate them to the entire commission.
Great, thank you. Thank you both. Anything else from any other commissioner before we adjourn? All right, well, we're adjourned. Thank you all very much. Thank you to our speakers and all who viewed the meeting. Bye.
Well,